Good morning and welcome to the June 8th, 2020 Ashland Select Board. The Ashland Select Board meeting is called to order. May I have a roll call attendance from board members? Greaves?
Here.
Hinsman?
Here.
Yanni?
Here.
Shear?
Aye. Here.
Mitchell? Here. Our business this morning is to review and vote on requests by our alcohol license holders to expand their serving footprints pursuant to Governor Baker's recent order. So we have received, I believe, 7 applications. I would suggest as we go through this that we do defer Erica's to the end of the list and Maisie's as well. Maisie's came in yesterday. And so at this point, I think Jen and or Beth, if you just want to kind of describe the process that you've gone through, and then we can start to review each of the applications.
Sure, we can do that. So Beth had been working with community development to create an application that outlines anybody who wants to expand to outdoor seating. So that includes creating a patio for table service for restaurants, and they would be allowed to open pursuant to the governor's order by as early as yesterday. And what we're looking at now here is.
Hold on a minute, Jen. There's somebody has a phone ringing.
Call from wireless.
Steve, maybe mute everybody but Jen for now.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted.
You're unmuted. Go ahead.
Sure. And so we had community development staff look at those applications. We were also able to include anyone who wanted to expand their premises for their liquor license, and that's what we're here to review now. So the only application that did not include an expansion of their liquor license was Tomorrow's, which was reviewed by our staff, but you may see them serving food. I believe that. Beth, did you include that in the packet? And so you may have that for review, but you don't need to necessarily approve that. As we discussed at our last meeting, you allowed staff to review those and give the approvals. And so we'll have fire, community development and building and health all sign off on that. They were in the process of doing that. Now they've all reviewed and approved it. We're just, obviously we have staff that are working half time. And so just obtaining the signatures. As Steve had mentioned, Mozzie's came in a little bit later in the afternoon yesterday. Beth, did everyone review that this morning?
Yes, everything has been reviewed and signed off on by all departments.
Okay, so we could actually probably, if you want, Steve, put that in as part of the review, and we don't have to do a contingent on any additional reviews. I wasn't sure if that had happened.
Oh, Muzzie, I'm sorry, I apologize. No, Muzzie is the only one that is still waiting a review.
Okay.
Sorry.
And so that one came in a little later. So we have staff looking at it now. We were hoping to have it done by 11. But if maybe we could just do that contingent on that review, I think that's why we can put that at the later part.
All right. Anything else, Beth, on your end to make note of?
No, so the applications that you did receive are the ones with liquor licenses attached to them. Tomorrow's, and it does not, so I don't believe I did send that to you, but they've been approved as all, and Sunnyside is also working on an outdoor seating plan as well. So you'll start to see a few of these other businesses that don't have liquor licenses start to pop up, but just know that our team is definitely reviewing them as they come in, but all the liquor licenses will go through you.
Okay, great. All right, thank you, Jen and Beth. So why don't we get started reviewing the applications? I did this morning have a chance to drive around to check a few of the establishments and what they had done in preparation for this, and I sent out photos to the board. So let's start. One of those photos was Las Cobos. Looks like Mr. Moreno is here with us this morning. Good morning, good to see you. I'm going to unmute you. Actually, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, yes.
Very good.
Now could you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we have Mr. Moreno's Las Cobos application here, and the photograph.
Yeah. Wait, sorry. Yeah, sorry. The little one just came out.
It's okay.
Okay.
So, so the photograph shows, I think, kind of gives some clarity to what Mr. Moreno is looking to do here. So he's got a fenced-in area that's adjacent to the side of his main entrance with fencing and his seating space. So open it up to board for any comments and questions on this application.
I like the way you expanded. I think it's a good use of space. And Steve, thanks for the picture. I had driven by, but thanks for the picture. I like the use of the barriers and the fencing to keep it safe for your patrons.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree, Yolanda. It looks like, you know, it's very comprehensive, the plans and the lighting situation and so on. My only question really, Mr. Moreno, is that
Yeah.
I'm assuming you have complete approval from the property owner?
Yes. He was the one that suggests we did that. Even he paid for the fence. He built it. So I got
Nice.
100% his approval from them. So he helped me a lot with that.
That's great. That's good to hear.
Yes. No, yes, it does. It was a good thing he did that.
Good.
You know, we appreciate it.
Very
Well,
nice.
I like that, you know, to Beth and Jen, I like that on the application, it says that they have approval from the property owners to do what they've done. So,
Yes.
because I know when we were having the conversation at our regular meeting, and that there was questions about that. So it was great to see that on the application that the actual property owners had to approve what their tenants were doing. So that was good to see.
Yes, it was.
Okay, any other questions or comments from board members?
No.
No, we're
I
good.
have a question. It's more of a generic question for Beth or Jen rather than specific to this application. But I assume before we have sign off from the community development team, there's sort of an on-site inspection as part of this before sign-offs, just correct?
This is a special, oh, sorry, Jen, do you want to answer? Sorry.
No, you can go ahead.
So because of the situation is with COVID and the pandemic, it's sort of a little off kilter. So we've kind of going through the approval process, and then they will go out and inspect it after.
Okay.
So Brandy, they reviewed the application. Some members of the review team have actually driven by. And so for Los Cabos, that, you know, they have started to set up so you can actually visually see what it looks like. I know that the fire department has driven by. I know that members of the planning team have driven by. Both Mark and Ed Berman, who's been, you know, sort of leading our COVID-19 response, they plan to do on-site visits over the next, as people sort of open and have conversations, making sure that all of the guidelines. So this is obviously
Makes
very
sense.
explicit to expansion of alcohol, but there's obviously additional guidelines that people have to follow to be able to serve food at tables, you know, do table service. And so they're planning to do those visits and have conversations with people throughout the week.
Steve, the only question I would have with respect to looking at Los Cabos' design, which I think is a great looking design, and I appreciate all the effort, is the lighting. Because there are 3 tables that are actually in the parking lot itself and not under the overhang on the walkway. And I just want to make sure that there's enough lighting in that area so people, when they drive into the parking lot area, even though you have those concrete barriers, don't hit them. And there's enough visibility, enough light for them to be seen.
We installed an outlet right next to on the roof, so we could run a lighting around the fence. So
Okay.
that's our plan, to put lighting, the same kind of lighting we have hanging from the ceiling. We're gonna wrap it around the fence, so have a little bit more exposure. I'm just waiting for the lights to arrive.
Okay. I'm just rather curious. I want to make sure that there's enough lighting there so people can see. You can have everything all done, but it always takes that one person to ruin it for everybody.
Yep, no, yep, we understand that.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Good.
welcome.
Thanks, Joe. I'm going to probably have the same question for most of the, for all of the applicants, actually. It appears that at some point, possibly by the end of the month, the governor will continue to relax the protocols and the restrictions to the point where indoor dining will be allowed under some percentage of footprint. What is your plan relative to reopening indoors and how it might impact your outdoor expansion at that point?
At that point,
Yes, at that point.
I mean, I'm wishing, as long as we could have the patio open, because even if we open inside, it's not going to be 100%. So that's going to make out, the outside. And as long as we could keep the outside and the weather permit us, that'll be nice. And it'll help us a lot, to compensate whatever we're not using inside.
Sure. Okay, that makes perfect sense to me. I just, we are going to issue actual permits for the expanded footprint, and it will be, whatever conditions apply will be listed on the permit, as well as the fact that the permit will extend either the lesser of the rescinding of the order or, I believe, November 1st.
Okay.
2020. So, but again, I think, I think it's, obviously it's your business to manage as effectively as you can, given the situation that restaurants have gone through.
Yeah. Yes.
So, any other questions for Mr. Moreno?
I have a question for Beth.
Go ahead.
Sorry about that, Beth. You thought you're going to get unscathed by me. I know. I haven't read the second phase of the opening of the restaurants by the governor. So now that these restaurants will be open, I'm assuming that the bathrooms will be available for the customers as well. So to be able to, okay. All right. Thank you. See, that wasn't that.
That was easy.
Yolanda?
And then this is for myself, but also just, so what we are doing today is reviewing those restaurants, those businesses in town that currently have a liquor license, that to be able to be serving outside, we have to extend their liquor license to the new outdoor seating plan that they are presenting to us, correct?
Correct, right on.
Okay,
Yes.
Perfect.
And then, but this has a definite lifespan as well.
Right. And as we're sitting and talking, I'm making notes on potential motions that would include a date, because I think we only want to do this once for the, for this season. So.
Sure. Okay, well, that's, you segued perfectly into a motion. And I'm not sure if we have putting any conditions on this other than the fact that there's a lifespan to this, and
right,
either the lesser of the November 1st or the rescinding of the governor's order. So I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the extension of the liquor license to temporary expanded outdoor footprint for Los Cabos through either, I'm going to say through November 1st, 2020, because I think to the point of, even if the governor says they can start serving inside, it might only be 25% or 50%. And if they're putting the time and effort to create this outdoor seating, let's leave it in place until November 20th.
But I think the governor's order, I think we should be careful about that, Yolanda, because I think the governor's order speaks to that specifically. It's either at some date earlier or November 1st. So I think we should be careful about our conditions relative to his order. Does that
Okay, so I'm going to keep his order out of it, and because again, part of our ability as a liquor license is to allow outdoor serving, correct? So
no, this is a special circumstance. This is not necessarily something we would necessarily do, with without having the order under which we're operating. So,
Correct.
so Jen and Beth, I would, ask you, what do you think the proper permit should read in this case, based on the governor's order?
So I think the order allows us to do this under that specific emergency order. And so, and I think what council was recommending is that it would be to a date certain, which I think November 1st is totally appropriate. So it could be November 1st. If the
We lost you,
governor
Jen.
rescinds the emergency deck, lost me.
Yeah.
Can you?
You're
can you
okay
hear me
now.
Oh, no.
You're locked
Can you
up.
hear me now?
There you are.
Okay. Sorry about that. So, sorry about that.
Oh, six, I see him.
Doing homeschool at the same time here, so that's probably why. But it's the whole emergency declaration, I believe. And so it's not just this particular order.
Okay, got it. Okay, so I think Yolanda, you're good with your recommended,
Okay.
So yeah.
So do I need to repeat it?
yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay, I move that we extend the liquor license for temporary expanded outdoor footprint for Los Cabos through November 2020.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Greaves,
Aye.
Kinsman,
Aye.
Magnani,
Aye.
Shear,
Aye.
Mitchell, aye. That carries 5-0. So, Mr. Moreno, you're all set to go.
All right. Well, thank you very
Good
much.
luck.
I appreciate it a lot. Hopefully that'll help us to get through
hope
this
so.
time.
Yes.
We
Good
hope so
luck.
too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody in there. Thank you. Beth, everybody. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Take care. All right, next on our list is TJ's Foods and Spirits. Don Tomaz is with us this morning, and we can review John's application. I did send you 2 photographs of his space and what he's doing. But John, could you describe a little bit what you're looking to do?
He's
Yeah.
muted.
He's muted. Sad thing, he's gonna have to repeat.
Can you unmute him? I'm not able to unmute him.
I'm trying to unmute him and I can't.
He might
John.
have muted himself.
John, you need to unmute yourself.
Is that working?
There you are. Yeah,
Hey.
now we hear you.
Loud
You're
and
gonna have to
clear.
repeat it.
All I was saying was, what I did was I put up these barriers that like you get at the banks and stuff, and they're all 6 feet. I kept it 20 feet from the road, and then I just put in a exterior thing to show where I was talking with the fire and people that have to do with it, and they wanted me to have to block off from 135 and then up the side to block it off so no one plows into the people that are 20, well, it's like 22 feet, but it was supposed to be 17. I made it over 20 away from the road. We are looking into getting boulders, but I was also told you could use, I could park my employees' cars in the road to block it off so that no one gets hurt. I am using my upper deck because I'm under the assumption that that's already legal.
Yep.
I'm right on that, right?
Correct.
That's correct.
Good. Because I got people here now. I'm glad. And then I was just to help me with the lower seating, only because I mean, I got 200 seats. I'm not using them, and I'm trying to get everyone back to work as much as I can. And this down below gave us 50 more seats.
Nice.
And that's what it's planned with. The only thing that I think the problem that I'm running into, and like I said, is the 135.
Yeah.
The blockage. And the fire department told me put all the employee cars there to stop it. I don't want to do anything until you agree, you know. I have 8, I'm using my 8 out of 15 tables on the deck now. The upper deck, which is already approved by the ABCC and all that for years.
Yep.
So that's what I'm hoping to get this approved.
Good. Well, when you and I spoke this morning, John,
yeah,
we spoke about the challenges of getting Jersey barriers.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah,
it's
big in demand.
And I'm sure a lot of the other places are having the same problem. I know a lot of people but it's not fair that I asked the town. No, it's not fair for me. That everyone wants this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm working with Laborers Training Center because I do a lot of work for them, but they're afraid too because it puts other people. Why'd you give it to them? And not to that. You know, it gets them in trouble. Going to rent them, it's going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars. It's going to be worth it to me. You know what I mean? I work on 8%. You know, to spend $8,000, I got to do $60,000 in business before I even do anything. You know, I'm not. Then that's not your problem. You know what I mean? That's a decision I have to make. So, if I could, use the cars as barriers, I mean, that's the only thing. I've already talked to Mark Oram. He was here the other day, and he walked through with me, and he said, "You got everything okay, John, with him. He'll be back in a couple of weeks, but as of right now, he says as soon as they give you permission, you can open." And I don't know what else I have to do.
So John,
Beth has been awesome. She's been working with my daughter every day. I know she's been bugging you. She's like that. Sorry.
Beth is like that, by the way. Yes.
No, Beth isn't like that. Bill's like that. She's brutal. I don't know how I made it 37 years.
So John, let me interject here for a second, because the management of the space is really for the community development
committee
to manage that. We are approving just the footprint of the alcohol license now.
Right.
Beth and Jen would need to speak to how they want you to manage protecting the perimeter.
Okay.
Our task is purely to assess whether
give me the license.
This is a reasonable plan, and then ask you questions and move forward.
Okay.
All right. So I would open it up for the board comments and questions for John on his plan for expanding his outdoor dining.
I have a couple of questions. Hi, John. Joe Mignon.
Hi, Joe. How are you, Joe?
I'm good, thank you. Is that the newly hot topped area?
Yes.
The lower level?
It's all hot top there. I went
Right.
and had it hot topped.
Okay. Are you planning on putting a tent above that?
No.
Okay. So you're gonna.
I could if you wanted me to, but I wasn't planning on it.
No, the only reason why I asked that is your business is dependent upon the weather.
Absolutely.
So I wasn't sure whether or not that was something you may want to entertain, sit down and talk with Beth. And
I actually could put
Jennifer.
one up. I would just go call Keith and make sure it's all right with him. I do have them. I wasn't as of right now.
Okay. I was just thinking about that.
If anyone wants to put up a tent, they just have to do a tent permit. So it's
Yep.
just through our building department. We've
Yep.
waived all the fees for those.
Yep.
So you can certainly do that in the future. That's no problem.
If
Now
I
what-
did, I'd put up, I have two 20 by 20s, Joe.
Okay. And that would be more than enough to cover
I
that area?
haven't, that covers it covers probably 3/4 of it.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Yeah,
I mean, that's up
no
to you.
problem.
I was just curious about, inclement weather. Because,
Yeah, and if it rains, when it rains, Joe, and the wind comes, those tents are all right. But those people are good. It's not that comfortable.
Yeah.
No sides, without sides.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I hear you.
I'm thinking about it.
Not a problem. Thanks, John. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you, Joe. Any other board members, comments, questions?
One comment/question in regards to regulating that the alcohol is staying within the, I mean, I think the area that you have is a nice size, but just then making sure you're being aware that the alcohol is staying inside that area rather than going out into the other parts of the parking lot. That would be the only thing to be aware of.
Oh, well, yeah, I have those barriers up, and I do have a hostess that sits right by the entrance. You know where I'm talking, the steps going up to the deck there. There is a girl that's going to be sitting right there full time.
Perfect. That was my only concern. Okay.
And we're limited how long people can stay, just to give more people. We're giving them no more than an hour and a half for dinner, an hour for lunch. That's what we're doing right now.
Good. Makes sense.
Just because you don't want someone sitting there for 4 hours.
Right.
And it's good for me too, because you want to turn over and serve more.
Right. For you at this point, and for all the restaurants that we're talking to right now, it's the idea of having people come and have dinner, not so much coming, just sitting and hanging out. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Did you get the hint there, Joe?
Who, me?
Hanging out. Steve, I'm sorry if I missed this, but how is this space being enclosed? Was that the issue with the Jersey barriers, or do you have some other fencing in mind, or what?
Well, that's not the liquor space, sir. That is the 20 feet outside the liquor space, because they didn't want, because I'm on 135, and there've been some accidents where cars, so that space we were talking about is 20 feet away from where the nearest customer could sit.
Right, and that's the area that I think we're passing on to the license to the permitting authorities to review in the town, right? Okay.
Right.
So what about the seating space itself? What's going around that?
I have those. They're each one of them 6 feet long, and it's like you see lines. They're metal, and they have a stand on it, and it has a roll inside. You pull the tape and you hook it onto the next one.
Okay.
And then
very basic kind of thing. Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Crowd movers.
Yeah. Like they're like at banks sometimes when they have a line. Some of them have it has a big base and has.
You think that's John? You think that's gonna work well for you? Something like that instead of like say a plastic fence or.
It tells them to stay in. I mean, I have someone there.
All right.
I think it would work. I mean, I could check into what.
All right. Well, I guess that's your call, unless other people have concerns. I'm just okay.
I have someone that will be there to make sure no one goes out there without it, with anything. They have to leave a certain way. In the middle, there's a leave spot. There's an enter spot that they said they wanted.
Okay.
So Rob, I think you do bring up a good point, and I think I think John can assess that in terms of how it evolves. I do think though that because there's a concern or a question from the planning group about the way the area is barricaded, that I think we should make this only contingent on their approval of the plan based on what they agree should be the proper barrier.
Yeah.
That might be. It could be cars. It could be, whatever that might be. But I think we should.
Maybe there's an alternative to these Jersey barriers that would be, at least somewhat effective and as a visual or physical barrier.
I asked the fire department because they were up here, and I bugged him when he came up here to pick up lunch, and asking him, and I said, "How about those little ones that are like 2-3 feet? Those aren't the ones." He said that won't stop a car.
Oh.
You know which ones I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And those are not expensive, but he said that their basic idea is they want to stop a car from coming in from 135.
John, I do like the right about parking having your employees park cars out there.
Yeah, I do too.
I think having your employees' cars parked out there to be used as a barrier on the 135 side of that area, I think is a great idea. I mean, that definitely gives you extra protection there.
Well, that's what they said. They suggested to me, but I'm just trying to do what's right, and I'm not gonna do anything until everyone says okay. I mean, I'm not gonna risk my license.
No, I think you're certainly addressing it fully and properly. My question, John, is and you're not obligated to do anything because once we approve this, you can continue to use your space.
Okay.
But your plans for when your indoor dining opens? Do you anticipate making any change?
Well, if my indoor opens, I got to be honest with you. I got to see how it goes because I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be afraid to sit aside of people. I really think they feel a lot more secure outside than in an enclosed space. So but my kitchen can only handle so much. I don't have that'd be the first thing I would shut down is because it's a lot of work. It's a walk. And it's tough on the waiters. It's tough. It's a lot of work. It's so much easier inside the restaurant. So I would personally like to get rid of it, but I'm just basically trying to survive here. So as soon as I get to the point where I'm doing fine, I'm going to stop it. That's my opinion, but I don't know when that's going to get back. I don't know how the people are going to react when they can finally go out in a building.
And that's your business decision, John. There's nothing that we do is going to be contingent on any action on your behalf. So if there's,
I'm not crazy about the way outside there because and I'm not afraid of work, but it's going to be a lot of work. It really just lugging. And Joe, we're not that young anymore.
I was just take the words right out of my mouth.
But so it would be a lot easier for me just to use my restaurant.
Sure. Okay. Any other comments or questions for John before we take action?
No.
Yolanda, you good with a motion?
Yep. I move that we approve the extension of the liquor license to the temporary expanded outdoor footprint through November 20th for TJ's Food and Spirits, contingent on just the final approval of the fire department for the safety measures.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Greaves?
Aye.
Hinsman?
Aye.
Vignani?
Aye.
Shear?
Aye.
And Mitchell, aye. That carries 5-0. So you are all set, John, and best of luck. And
should I call Chief Roby and just tell him what I was planning and have him come down? And then if he said okay, it's okay.
I'm going to defer to Beth on this one.
Yeah, I think, John, I'm going to send over Mike Crisafulli, the building commissioner.
Sure.
Because this is really a team effort. It's not necessarily just the fire department's decision. It's a whole team effort. So I'll have Mike pop by just to touch base with you about what you're thinking.
Yeah, he's great. Sure, if he could stop by, and I'll wait to see him, and I won't do anything until he says yes, and I'll explain to him what I'm doing with the barricade.
Perfect. That's exactly what you're doing. Great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
John.
Good luck,
Have a
John.
nice day, everyone.
Bye.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
same here.
Bye.
Take care.
First time I've ever done this, you know.
You did great.
Good work.
Thank you.
Make sure you hang up.
Well, I'll get my daughter. Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Bye. All right.
Did you shut
Next.
that off for me? They're done with me.
So next on our list is the Ashland Ale House. Is the Ale House present? Morning.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks.
No, I'm not off yet. I'm not off yet.
Let's wait a minute. Hold on.
There we
All
go.
right, here we go. All right, so it looks like we have Lynn from the Ale House. And so the Ale House, and I didn't get a chance to drive by to look, but I'm assuming that this is the space that's adjacent to the building, the grass space where the Ale House had done I think a beer fest a few years ago. So Lynn, if you want to speak to that.
Yes. Yep. That's the space.
Okay, and can you just kind of describe what your concept is, how you're going to manage it, and so on for us, please?
Okay. So currently the space is already fenced in. It is attached to the building. There's a door that goes directly to the space from the restaurant. We were hoping to get 6 picnic tables out there. It is made of grass, so I just think any other chairs might be kind of tough to use out there. And then we plan to have a staff out there, a host station set up at the entrance, and we're hoping to do lunch and dinner and serve food and beverage out there.
Okay, very good. Do you anticipate using any sidewalk area at all, or just initially that grass space?
Initially, just the grass space.
Okay.
Mhm.
Very good. Questions or comments from the board? This one looks pretty straightforward to me because of the past use of it, but questions and comments?
This
Doug?
is just going to be for eating area. I'm sorry, Yolanda. This
That's
is just
okay.
for eating area alone. Nothing, no entertainment or anything like that, right? Okay, because I just don't want to have the neighbors down the road start, asking questions and making, yeah. Okay, I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. Thank you.
Good. Yolanda?
No, I was just going to say, I think, as you said, Steve, it's been used before. It's very straightforward. It's just dining. It's not entertainment. It's not, and it's space that's there. So I think it's a great use for them to be able to start serving again. So I think it looks very straightforward.
Okay, very good. Any other comments, questions from the board?
Yeah, so there's no music involved, right? It's just outdoor dining. Yeah, okay.
That's a whole nother question, outdoor entertainment, just
Yeah.
as a point of reference, we approve entertainment licenses and our entertainment licenses have footprints as well. So
Yeah.
just
Very
speak
good.
about
Okay.
the alcohol portion of it. So, all right, if we don't hear any other questions, comments, Yolanda, you ready for a motion?
I am. I move that we approve the extension of the liquor license to a temporary expanded outdoor footprint through November 1st, 2020 for Ashland Ale House.
Second.
A motion and a second, roll call vote. Greaves,
Aye.
Hinsman,
Aye.
Yanni,
Aye.
here,
Aye.
and Mitchell, aye. So Lynn, you're all set. Good luck. Hopefully the indoor dining opens up soon so you can get back to business, and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody doing this.
Thank
luck,
you, Lynn.
Lynn.
Good luck.
Good luck. Good luck, Lynn.
Thank you. All right, moving
Hey.
on. Yes?
Dave, before we move on, I do have a question, and it just dawned on me, and I don't know if anybody else thought of this as well. The time restraints for serving and for eating. I know they already have specific times for dinner and stuff, which is inside. Are we going to still honor those same time periods you know, 10 o'clock, last meal, things of that nature, last call for drinks or whatever. We're still doing the same that way? Because I'm not sure what the closing time is for some of these restaurants, and where some of the neighbors are close to these buildings. You know, when you're inside it's one thing, but if you're outside serving and drinking, it could get kind of loud, especially in the summertime where it's warm out. And I just don't want the two heads to butt one another.
Good. That's a good question, Joe. And the way I interpreted this is that they have a permit that exists right now relative to their serving of alcohol. When last calls is what the hours of operation are. And so all we are doing is expanding the footprint that allows that permit to operate.
I understand that, but that was for an inside use and not an outside use. So, and I'm not trying to put a monkey wrench in this. I just want to make sure that these locations, that if they're near residential areas, we should at least be keen to that and have some thought of that as well.
That's it. I'm glad you brought that up. So good point. All right,
Yeah.
can we move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so next is we've got, and I'm assuming that this is in essence a joint application. I see Alan McIntosh on the call. Alan, if you want to unmute yourself, we've got an application from Doragon Ramen and Mexico City. And I assume Alan's speaking for both parties.
Myra's sitting here with me.
I
Okay.
was gonna say, I think we have to do them separately.
Hey, Myra, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys? Nice to see everybody.
Good to see you. All right, so we're going to deal with Doragon Ramen first. And Alan, describe what you are requesting to do.
We're looking to put tables out on the sidewalk underneath the overhang. We're going to block them off using yellow chain link between the pillars. There's going to be signs put up on each pillar describing the policies and how to make a reservation per table. And there's going to be a permanent staff member outside monitoring and taking care of the outdoor tables.
Okay. And it's just 3 tables is what your request is, correct?
Yeah, 3. We were going to try to do a 4th one, but there's just not enough space. So we're pretty much limited to 3 with 6 feet apart.
Sure. Okay. All right. Questions, comments from the board on the Doragon Ramen request?
Pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have one question because Doragon and Mexico City have 2 different alcohol licenses. And the assumption is that they're not going to be cross the separation between the 2. Correct?
They're not. So if you're facing the building where Myra's lobby sticks out at the glass entryway there with 2 doors.
Yep.
My stuff is going on the left near my restaurant, and her stuff is going to the right of it on her restaurant.
Okay. Good. Questions, comments?
Nope.
No? Okay, this one is again pretty straightforward. I'll entertain a motion if you're ready, Yolanda.
Yep. I move that we extend the liquor license to the temporary expanded outdoor footprint through November 1st, 2020 for Doragon Ramen.
Second.
A motion and a second. Roll call vote. Greaves.
Aye.
Kinsman.
Aye.
Vignani.
Aye.
Shear.
Aye.
And Mitchell, aye. So that is approved. The Doragon Ramen request is approved. So good luck to you, Alan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Forward. And now, Myra, you're up.
Hi.
Hey.
So basically, I'm following the same as the steps as Doragon Ramen. We're not sharing the space. We're not sharing bathrooms, and everybody's gonna have their own staff. For one person, for my staff, it's gonna be one person outside all the time. 3 tables and facing the Walgreens. Oh, that's where my tables are gonna be.
Okay. Good.
I mean,
Looking good, folks?
Yeah. Straightforward
Yes.
again.
Straightforward.
The map shows it pretty well. So
yeah.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion and a vote.
I move that we approve the extension of the liquor license to the temporary expanded outdoor footprint through November 1st, 2020 for Mexico City.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote. Greaves,
Aye.
Kinsman,
Aye.
Yanni,
Aye.
here,
Aye.
Mitchell, aye. That carries 5-0. So best of luck to you as well, Myra.
Thank you.
Hope we get back in business full blown soon.
Good luck to all the business in town. You guys are doing such a great job. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Take care. Good luck.
See ya. Okay, so now we are going to move on to Maisie, and this one, based on our earlier discussion, we are going to make this conditional as well on the approval of the planning group. So is there anyone on board from Maisie's? If they are, if you can unmute yourself.
It doesn't look like it.
Okay, so Beth, we're going to, I think, allow you to review this for us, please.
Sure, no problem. So Muzzy is looking to open up their doors, their real doors soon. They've been working hard on their construction. They are in the process now of still just finalizing everything. So they still do not have their occupancy permits and their Board of Health permits. So even if we weren't in this situation, they're not, you know, their doors are not open just yet. However, they're hoping in the next week or two to have that all finalized. So they want to be ready to go with the outdoor seating. They're excited about opening. They wish it were under different circumstances, I'm sure. But this will at least help them to get open and introduce themselves to the public. So they're doing this sort of in a little ahead of the game, I guess. So you might want to say contingent on, you know, all of the Board of Health and occupancy permits as well.
Sure. Okay. So just to understand, can you just the footprint? Looking at the footprint.
So
looking at the front of the building, we're looking down on the building, and we're looking.
So they already have their outdoor area that's licensed now for service. So they're just extending that into that little tiny parking lot. They're going to be using cement barriers to sort of close that off. There's already a few curb cuts, I believe, there. So it's naturally kind of like a safe space for them. It's off the beaten path. They have plenty of parking around that, so they don't need that. So it sort of ends up being kind of a nice little spot for them. And yeah, they'll be doing additional lighting and they'll be roping all of that off as well. They have 15 tables is what they're looking to add, and all are handicapped accessible.
So the application says about 20 tables on it. Now, is that including what was planned to be their outdoor patio plus the additional?
I believe there's 15 extra tables in the parking lot area. And then they're seating in between in the existing what they were already planning on opening, but they'd have to decrease that because they have to get some spacing in there.
Okay.
So about 20, I would say total, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Questions for Beth?
Beth, this the diagram says that area is going to be tented, so those additional 15 tables will be under a tent. Is that correct?
Yes, they have not applied for their tent permit, but they will need to be doing that as well.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Any questions? Any more questions? This one is going to have a few conditions to it. I'm assuming, Yolanda, you'll have a good motion.
I move that we approve the extension of the liquor license to the temporary expanded outdoor footprint through November 1st, 2020 for Mozzie, with the contingency that they have their Board of Health approvals and final occupancy permits before starting.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Greaves?
Aye.
Kinsman?
Aye.
Yanni?
Aye.
Here?
Aye.
And Mitchell, aye, and that carries 5-0. So they're ready to move forward as soon as all those
Good
conditions
luck.
are met. So good luck to Maisie. Is it you said Muzzy, but
Yep,
it's
that's how it's pronounced. Yep. In Greek, it means together, I think.
okay.
Looking
Very-
forward to them being open.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
they seem to have the easiest site for outdoor dining. I mean,
Oh, it is, right? It's easy. Yeah, it's a nice fit. Yep.
Very good. Well, best of luck to Maisie when we open up. So, all right. So the last application to be reviewed is that of Erica's. This is going to requires actually requires both our action to approve the use of public space, and it also approved the use of or the expansion of the alcohol license. This also requires the Library Board of Trustees to approve this application as well, the use of the library space that Erica's is applying for. So I don't believe I see anybody here from Erica's. So Beth, could you work through this with us as well?
Sure, I'm going to do my best. So Sam and Erica apologize they can't be here. They had a meeting set with their accountant 2 weeks ago that they just couldn't move. They weren't that wasn't flexible. So unfortunately, they are unable to attend. They do feel badly about that, but I'm going to do my best to sort of walk you through. So Erica's obviously is not as Muzzy is an easy fit, right? So for the extra seating, but Erica's has a little bit more of a struggle on their location. And we talked about different options for them. And then one of them that came about was to ask permission to use the public space at the library. There's enough space there for them to not have to cross the street, which makes it safer for their employees while serving. And they could use that grass area for approximately 20 picnic tables that seat 4, maybe 6 people tops, but mostly 4 tops. They'll all be spaced 6 feet apart. They do not plan to use tents or umbrellas. And the parking obviously wouldn't be changed. They would also use string lighting or some ground lighting, and they were looking at different options for that to make sure that space was well lit. That was a concern on the side area that you see in the diagram, but they are definitely on top of that. So they are looking to use that space as well.
Okay. Not sure if anybody has been out to Erica's and can physically visualize what.
Yeah.
I can.
I can.
Okay, you're good.
Yeah.
And they're also looking to use actually the grass area to the right of the main entrance walkway as well. So currently the library is closed, so it's not necessarily having an impact on visitors to the library. Personally, I would, if the library were to open in a couple weeks and there were people that were going to the library in the evening time, I would feel compelled to adjust that space at that point in time. But right now the library is closed. So I open it up to questions and comments from the board.
So this is not their property that they're looking to put these tables on and to do their service on, correct? It is town-owned property. Okay. And I see we have Paula from the library on, so I know I'll have a couple of questions. Yeah, I mean, I want to do everything we can to support these businesses. I would agree with you, Steve, that should the library then open, specifically if you're looking at the plan, at the bottom of it, there's those 4 tables that are right by the walkway and right in front of the library. Those should probably be removed once, if the library is open at night and stuff is going on.
What I would suggest, one thing we might condition this by, if, we can't speculate when the library is going to reopen.
Right.
There seems to be indications, though, that restaurants are going to be able to open up indoors relatively shortly, possibly by the end of the month.
But they're going to have restrictions that they're only going to be able to do 50%.
Let me finish. So my thought was that possibly we would recommend that when the indoor seating is available, that we then require Erica's to remove those tables, those blocks of tables from that space, because they will have whether it's 50% or it's 75% or 25%, they'll have some indoor seating when that reopens. So that's one thought that I had.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know that I would ask them to remove all of those outdoor those tables.
I'm just talking about the tables on the grass.
Oh, okay. So in that front block.
That front block, that's it.
Oh, okay. So those 7 tables that are there and everything else would be okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick? I'm looking at the diagram, and I how many tables are we talking? Are all those
20
tables stretching way back there? Is that?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I am trying to visualize that space, Steve, as you mentioned. I visualize the front part, but what happens as you move back beside the building? You have an open grassy space?
It's a walkway.
And some trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so we're less concerned about the tables towards the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
At least when the library's open, we are certainly. I am.
Yeah. And so we're looking at, it looks like in excess of 20 tables. I didn't see anything in the application where they named how many tables, but it looks like quite a few there.
I think it's 20.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
So question on the insurance side, because I know in the packet that you sent over, Beth, there was a certificate of liability insurance. So because this is town property, they are covered if something were to happen on that property?
Yeah, Jen, you might want to speak to this.
Sure. Yeah. So Brandy, we have to actually work with council to execute an actual license with them, that a user agreement essentially that gives them right of access. In there, we would obviously have some indemnification language. We'd have insurance coverage. We'd additionally probably have some language in there that says that after they're done using that property, they would have to make sure that they restore it to its current state. So, obviously if there is any damage to the grass area, we would want to make sure that that front of our library, looks like it always does when it opens.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you. And I had one other question. Is because the footprint is kind of long where they're looking to go, what is Sam's plan for managing that space? Is there one person? Is there 2 people?
Yeah, he's planning on being out there the entire time. He'll run that just as he does in the restaurant. I don't know if you've been when he's there, and he's really on top of everything. So he would be outside the entire time.
Okay. Because it is kind of spread kind of far out. So
and it would be roped off as well. So okay. Space.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Joe?
No, go ahead. Someone's going to question. Go ahead, Yolanda.
No, I was just going to comment. They also have a back door from their kitchen, Brandy.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're having to all come out through that front door. They can access the back of their building from the back to get to some of those back tables, I would think.
Okay, that makes sense.
Go ahead, Brandy.
No, I was just going to say that makes a lot of sense, because you start thinking about how far people are going to be carrying food from the restaurant to some of these tables, and so if there is access in the back where they're able to more easily get to and from, I think that makes that's definitely a good thing. So
yeah, that would be one of the concerns that I'd have, because that back door goes to that driveway that's adjacent to the right side of that building and the private property of the homeowner there. But you have to walk all the way around back, and there's a barn. So you're going to be, it's still a good little walk to get there. It's not an easy, cut through. So that would be one thing. I want to make sure that it's well lit in that area, because down in the back, by the back stairs of the library, there's very little lighting in that area at all.
Yeah.
That would be one of the concerns that I have with respect to that. Yeah. The other thing, Steve, that you made a good point, that if the library does open up at some point, you're talking about the removal of all 7 tables. I thought you were worried about the 4 tables that were right in front of the walkway. If they were to remove that and leave the other 3 there by the cannon on back, I couldn't foresee myself sitting at a table and look to my left to see a cannon facing me. However, people
A new
maybe
view. A new
Who
view.
knows? Yeah, just me. You're right. But that 20, does that also include the patio tables that he originally has out there?
Yes,
Okay, so that's the total number of tables.
I believe so.
I think he's looking to also put a couple of tables on the sidewalk.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. He's not. That is not the case. There's 20 picnic tables on the library space itself. And then he's adding one in front of the building. There's like a little grassy area right in front of the building. And then he'll be
Right.
using the patio. There'll be two on the
Two.
patio.
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
not doing any in the sidewalk, Steve.
Right.
He canceled those.
He's not. Okay, all right.
All right.
Okay, I think you bring up a good point, Joe, about the lighting, certainly in that as you get towards the back of the library, I'm sure that there's plenty of light.
I mean, if you would have to, those generator lights that they use for highway construction work and stuff, something up in that back area there, just to flood that area with lighting. I mean, you can rent very cheap for a month or two, and that may be beneficial for them.
There's some LED lighting, pedestal LED lighting that's very reasonable as well. So there's options. So
One of the little table that's kind of on its own next to the driveway, that's on a grassy surface. That's not on the sidewalk, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
all right, any other questions or comments? We do have to take two votes here. One to approve the use of public space, and then the second vote is to approve the expansion of the footprint. So
And do we
Yep.
want the removal of the tables as part of the open space approval? The use of the space?
your opinion, my recommendation was as the indoor capacity
Okay.
it opens up, that
Okay.
we remove that portion.
Okay. Okay, that'll be part of the liquor license. Okay. I move that we approve the.
Yolanda,
Oh,
hold on.
sorry.
One second. Sorry. Just one quick question, because Brandy brings up a good point about the certificate of insurance and the coverage of it. I know it says the town of Ashland, but to me personally, I would feel better if it not only just lists the town of Ashland, but also the library trustees.
Well, yeah, so Joe, I think that, I do think that this vote, the use of the property has to be contingent on the board. I mean, the trustees also allowing.
Oh,
the-
okay.
We
So
have-
they're meeting tomorrow.
We have Paula on the line. Paula Benetti from the library is on the line if we want to hear from her,
And
maybe.
actually, we've got Bonnie Mitchell here, the chair of the trustees, if you'd like to
There
hear.
you go.
Well, I don't know if we're putting the cart before the horse in this, because if the trustees say no.
Well, we're going to make it contingent, Joe.
Yeah, so
All right.
yeah,
Okay.
so I think the timing isn't ideal, but given the sort of fast turnaround that we are working with, we thought, and since we couldn't get everyone together all for one meeting, just in terms of posting requirements and availability, it made sense to maybe have it contingent on. And so obviously, if they have a conversation and they don't approve it, at least, ideally it would be nicer to have the conversation together, but it didn't quite work out that way.
Okay. And council is fine with the fact that just as town of Ashland, it doesn't.
Well, we certainly can add both of those. So that's just the license. That's just their insurance certificate. We have not provided them the license agreement yet, because I obviously didn't want to put that forth because we can add any conditions in there that we want, like the removal of tables at a certain point. So they have not seen that license yet. That Lisa has drafted us a copy to look at, and we can certainly work on that once this board and then the trustees approve, assuming that they approve.
Okay, I just worry about, how some people may feel that, they're not being protected, even though it does say it. If we could list the trustees.
I get.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was gonna make a motion, but I would, if Paula has any comments or if Bonnie has any comments.
Well, Bonnie doesn't. She's sitting here next to me. They're meeting tomorrow. They'll be discussing it.
Okay. Did Paula want to add anything, or is she just listening? Do we know?
Paula, do you want to add anything?
She's muted.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm really just here for listening, just to hear the details of the layout, and and just because just in case the trustees have any questions, I just wanted to listen to what's going on. So I really don't have any comments at this point.
Okay.
Great, thank you, Paula.
Thanks, Paul.
Steve, can I just ask a question, just for clarifying question? So once they open up indoors, you want those front 6 tables right by the cannon? Those are the ones that you guys are voting to
It
remove?
looked like there's 7 tables there.
I say 6, but okay. Oh, no, you're right. Yep, you're right.
It's 7.
I can't count, apparently. Yes. Okay. So those 7 tables will be removed.
Right.
Okay.
That's my recommendation. I mean, if that's what the board.
Okay.
Would it?
I would do the 5, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't have an issue with just removing the 4 tables that are closer to the walkway and leaving the one in front of the cannon and the other 2 next to the driveway there, because it's closer to their building than it is to the entrance of the library.
Yeah, I would say the 5, right? The ones that are the 4 that are right there by the walkway. Actually, some of them are going to be in front of the library, and the one by the cannon, and then leave the 2 that are right there by the roadway.
Okay, I think that, certainly works for me. I mean, it was my, I think if you, 5, I would say, Joe, the 5 makes sense.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Okay, we ready?
Yep.
I move that we approve the use of public space by Erica's Restaurant with the conditions that it be approved by the library trustees, that it have an agreement signed by the town of Ashland and the library trustees and Erica's for the liability of the space, the restoration of the space, and that when either the library opens and or Erica's can open inside, the 5 tables on the map that are closest to the front of the library be removed.
Good motion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Second that.
Do we have
I'll second that.
a motion and a second? So we have, this is the vote now on the approval of the use of the land. So roll call vote, Greaves.
Aye.
Johnny.
Aye.
Here.
Aye.
And Mitchell, aye, and that carries 5-0. And our next vote is on the expansion of the alcohol license.
I move that we approve the extension of the liquor license to the temporary expanded outdoor footprint through November 1st, 2020 to Erica's with the contingency that the lighting be approved by the building department.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Roll call vote, Greaves.
Aye.
Hinsman.
Aye.
Johnny.
Aye.
Here.
Aye.
Mitchell, aye, and that carries 5-0. So good luck at Erica's as well as all the other restaurants that we've worked with this morning. Good work by Beth Reynolds and the community group.
Yeah. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you
Great
very,
job,
very
Jim.
much.
And Jen Ball, of course, always doing the good work. So thank you, Jen and Beth.
Thank you both.
That conducts our business this morning, unless there's any comments. Board reports anybody wants to make?
Now I just have to figure out where I want to go first.
Excuse me, I want to ask one question.
You go ahead.
How soon could we start?
Yesterday.
Tonight, right? Beth,
Oh, so
tonight?
Beth, tonight?
Yes, I believe so. I mean, you've given the vote, so I'm under the impression that they can start right away.
Okay.
Draft up. I don't know, Susan's on this call too. Maybe Susan wants to speak to the permits that she'll be drafting up.
I have a temporary license that I shared with Jen. I just need to type them up and we can get them out.
Great.
Great.
Okay.
Very good. So Susan, while you're on the phone right now, is there anything else we potentially might be anticipating relative to any of our other alcohol license holders?
So I'm not sure what the process was that Beth followed. I wasn't part of that. But we do have 14 all alcohol restaurant licenses, and we also have 4 wine and malt. I'm not sure if any of the other ones that don't currently have patios are interested, but we do have several that didn't put in, like Burnham's has a patio already. Stone's has a patio already. The Oregon Club has a patio already. It's more the Chinese food places, Hanto, the Thai place up by Shaw's, and
Cherry Blossom.
Cherry Blossom. And the other all alcohol is Dr. Green's. I don't know that they really have a space to expand into the parking lot. And then the wine and malts is Ashland Pizza Palace, Dolce de Leche, and Nick's Pizza. And none of them currently use an outside space for their licenses. Beth, if you reached out to them, did any of the Chinese food places, I guess is the best way to put it, did any of them say that they wanted to expand?
No, these are the only ones that I've heard from. So nobody else has put in applications. Although Oregon Club will be opening, but again, they have their existing, and Stone's is already open.
You want a mushroom?
I haven't heard from Burnham's either.
Yeah, Burnham's has an 80 by 80 patio, so they have a pretty substantial space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if there's more coming down the pike or not. I have not heard from them.
So I think one of the questions we might want to discuss at our meeting next week is the potential, because of just the timeframes of our meetings and how we, the ability to approve requests if they do come before the development group and the board, the select board, we may want to potentially give the town manager the authority to approve on our behalf, just to facilitate this process. But we could talk about that next week. We don't need to talk about that today. So any board reports, any comments anybody wants to make? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. And
Second.
thanks, Jen, for all the work
Yes,
that
thank you, Beth and Jen.
Thank you very much.
Point, just
Appreciate
the raising of the hand for adjournment. Very good. Thank you. Mr. Moreno,
Bye.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Paula.